Alright, welcome back to another voiceover. This is going to be the final video before I do the first starts on the bike. This was actually a few weeks ago, but whatever. Starting off in the beginning of the video, got my headlight on and we're changing the connectors for the rear signal lights just because I had to replace the actual LEDs at the back, and I'm also just incorporating all the license plate lights and trying to clean things up back there. Most of the wiring was already done at this point, so this video will be kind of getting the wires run the right way, getting a lot more of them bundled together, and making sure that all the connectors are connected. And the replacement connectors are done, obviously, and that will be a little bit further in the video at the front. But I want to talk to you about something. So I guess from a couple videos back, I installed a fuel pump system, and I actually ended up getting a fuel pump that wasn't designed for this bike. That wasn't the OEM fuel pump, and it was actually had a little bit higher pressure output than the stock one, which for a carbureted system probably isn't that great of an idea, but I decided to go with it anyways. Like, if I had to replace it, then whatever. But yeah, so as it turns out, it ended up running the bike. That was fine. It kind of ran like it was a little bit rich. But then afterwards, I turned the bike off, left it for a week or two. I came back and it appeared that the pump had created a little bit of a siphon. So all of the gas from the tank had actually just made its way into all of the cylinders and the exhaust of the motorcycle, which was pretty sweet, right? I've never had this happen to me before. Luckily, when I cranked the engine over, it didn't like hydro lock, I guess. I don't know how that happened, but what did happen is I probably had about 500 milliliters of gasoline just come straight out of the exhaust and all over the garage floor. So that was pretty cool. Afterwards, I kind of like let it open. I disconnected the fuel pump, obviously. The lines let any sort of pressure out, tried to let everything air dry. I came back to it a week later, which would have been last week. I ran it. I actually rode the bike on the street around and came back, but it was kind of still running a little bit choppy. So then I hooked up the fuel pump again, and I don't know, being stupid. Anyways, I decided to give it another start again, and again more fuel came out. So I'm really out the pocket for the amount of gas I've been wasting lately, and it's really hard to like clean up and dispose of properly, because I don't think you can really recycle gasoline, so I usually just let it evaporate. I don't know if that's bad or not. But anyway, so this time I let the bike heat cycle and try to get to temperature, and as soon as it did get to temperature, that's when things started getting choppy, and it shut off on its own, and I wasn't able to start it after that until I had actually just drained the entire battery, and it wouldn't start either way. So now I'm just kind of like waiting. There are a few options that I was potentially going to take. I know that I kind of rushed to get this back together. I didn't do a lot of the restoration and the projects that I wanted to get done on the bike because I heard that I was moving, and I'm not sure where if I'm going to have space to work on this bike in the near future. But some potential options would either be parting it out, or if I do have space to work on it, completely stripping it down. And I'd like to just start from scratch, and I mean just like start system to system and just make sure that everything's the way that I want it to be. Potentially fuel inject it, because that's definitely easier to deal with. It's easier to install a fuel pressure regulator than it is to just have like the exact pressure always going to the carbs, otherwise everything goes to crap like it did here. But anyways, so that's my rant for the day. You can see me here finishing up on the bike. I started getting a lot of the things on. I got the front cowl, the rear seat. I think I go around and I check a lot of the lights. All of the electronics worked the first time, or pretty much the first time. I think there was a ground that was missing the very first time, which it wasn't on the video. But pretty close here, you'll actually get a starting of the bike, and I had to turn the volume down because it's pretty loud, and that will be in about a minute. big thing that I wanted to do is just get it together well enough that I didn't have all the parts laying around. There's quite a few little components, and like it does take up quite a bit of shelf space if you end up taking apart vehicles or motorcycles, and the space all adds up. So having the bike together like this, or more together, definitely like frees up a lot of space, which was the whole point of trying to get everything back together as quick as I wanted to, just to make everything move better. But here we are, I got the gas tank on. I ended up using a little bit of starter fluid as well, but I shoved the battery back in and try to get it to start here. Of course it died, and I think I might have had the gas tank valve closed, but either way I just decided to grab some starter fluid because I knew that it was just fuel. And the biggest thing that I was checking was that all the electronics and the circuits worked. Like if the engine runs choppy, that's more of like a carburetor and fuel delivery issue, but having all of the lights working, all of the sensors working, no weird lights on the dash, not that there are a lot in this kind of bike, it was kind of nice to know that I didn't wreck anything in my rushed attempts of just throwing a dirty harness together. You see it, carburetors always run all choppy and they're very finicky, and there's a reason why things went fuel injected when they did. But it's kind of been cool to learn about carbureted systems and just the things that can go wrong and how certain things react with others. But that's it for today.